I got his t-shirt. Well, hello everybody, Max and Max's Models here, and today I thought we would talk about models of airplanes with canards on them. And,
Hey, don't you think you ought to tell them what a canard is first? You know, not everyone's a pilot.
fine.
Don't you eye roll at me.
Go away. And give me my Beatties t-shirt back. You know what? Let me close that door. I don't want to be bothered by him again. Ooh, fearsome. Well, this computer seems to be having a few issues with the capture. At the same time, some sync issues. I'm having to make a lot of adjustments. So I'm just going to do voiceover from here over. Sound good, guys? All right. On to kit models with canards and a quick background on canards. All right, Glue Troopers, here we go on today's aerodynamics lessons. A canard is that little wing on the front of the airplane. And it originally comes from the French word duck because the first aircraft in Europe to fly with a canard was Santos Dumont's 14 BIS. And yes, the Wright Flyer was also a canard design, but it was the French who gave it the name canard because they thought Santos Dumont's airplane looked like a duck, canard. So the name stuck. Now I was going to give a quick and dirty little lesson on why canards are cool because they can help prevent an aircraft from stalling or make it stall resistant. But as I started digging into the data to get ready for this thing, it got real busy real fast with a lot of other advantages of the canard. And I thought about trying to go into them here, but they really start getting into the math. I will say this. The canard has the advantage, especially if you're dealing with an aircraft that has the engine sitting on top of the wing, such as the Schinden, because it allows for constant lift with no negative force that you get off the tail of a conventional airplane. If you look at, say, a Mustang, as that airplane flies through the air, the elevator and stabilizer at the tail of the aircraft, the empennage, provide a downforce to counteract the weight of the engine. But when you have an airplane like the Schinden, with the engine bay and the pilot basically sitting on top of the wing where weight and balance is less of an issue, you can go ahead and put a canard up front. And since a canard produces lift instead of a downforce, both the canard and the wing are producing lift, so you're not fighting yourself, so to speak. Also, because the canard produces lift, you can make the wing just a little bit smaller since you have two lifting devices, and that helps offset the little bit of drag you get from the lift because lift creates drag. The other advantage of a canard is that it can be set to stall before the wing does, and that can help make the aircraft stall and spin resistant, not proof. If you yank the nose up too fast, you can pull the canard up past its critical angle of attack, stall the canard, and then you're going to be in a world of hurt because it's really hard to recover these things when that happens. But one of the other advantages of a canard for a military aircraft is that it allows you to put the engine on top or in the back, as with the Schinden, and mount all the guns on the nose, so that you don't have to worry about converging fire. Everything's going straight forward. Of course, a lot of airplanes like the P-38 and the Bf-110 already had that going for them, but they were multi-engine, and we're talking about single-engine aircraft. It would have been pretty easy to convert an airplane like the Schinden into a jet also, and they had talked about it, but it never even got to the paperwork phase because the war ended. But there was a lot of room for growth had this thing had an opportunity to mature, which fortunately for everybody, I suppose it didn't. But canard designs are still extremely popular. There are plenty of canard aircraft out and plenty of kits of them. In fact, it's still part of modern design. The Viggen, the J-10, the JAS-39, and a lot of other aircraft are still using canards. In fact, a lot of the Rutan designs were canard aircraft, very easy. And today, even the Cozy, an aircraft like that. So it's a pretty nifty aerodynamic way to design an aircraft. Now, a lot of folks went, well, why aren't all aircraft Canards? Well, there's a lot of reasons for that. One of which this isn't a small thing. Modern airports are set up to board airliners from the front of the aircraft with a jet bridge, and that's pretty much where the Canard would have to be. And people said, well, why not make a folding Canard or something like that? Well, now you're adding weight and complexity. Plus, the airlines are kind of used to what they've been using. Now, there was the Sonic Cruiser, which was going to be a Canard design and cruise about Mach 0.98, but it never got past the model stage. And it had some advantages, one of which, believe it or not, is when you rotate an aircraft, if you rotate a conventional airliner, the tail goes down, it starts pushing against what's called ground effect, close to the ground. And if you get going too fast, you rotate late, you could find yourself fighting that ground effect, whereas the Canard design lifts up away from the ground and wouldn't have that problem. It's really not too much of a thing, but it's just one more little point. The Canards have several advantages. The main thing I think they have going for them is that it's all lift. There's no negative downforce. But probably in general aviation aircraft, their single biggest advantage is that they're stall resistant. If the Canard stalls, the nose falls down and the wing never stalls. But again, make something idiot-proof. We'll make the better idiot. There's always going to be somebody that's going to manage to yank the nose up so fast that it slingshots it into a stall. And then you got problems. Of course, there are ways to get out of that. But the main thing is that since this is still a kit model channel, that there are a lot of really cool kits of Canard aircraft. They make for really interesting space age looking designs, and they go back to the very beginnings of aviation. Now, this is by no means an in-depth analysis of the Canard design. This was just something while I was working on this shin, and I thought, why wasn't the Canard design more popular? And there were aircraft from many countries that played with it. America had the XP-55 Ascender, and there were some other aircraft that we played with that might have been successful if they'd had a Canard like the Black Bullet, but they were trying to do everything with just the wing. That airplane had a lot of other problems, but it's something that had some potential and might have made a decent jet at some point. Who's to say? So I thought you guys just might find that a little interesting. Well, anyway, that's what I got for this morning. Time to get back to the salt mines. Maybe I'll finish rigging those Douglas World Cruisers today. Keep a good thought. And guys, take care of yourselves. And as always, model on. Well, good morning, Blue Troopers, and welcome to another episode of Max's Models. And today I thought we would talk